I'm ready.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to It's Okay Not to Be Fabulous Every Day, based on the book by my co host, Dalsimer. You all can see the book there. She's an award winning author. The book has been something that she's been able to discuss with others, and now she's a part of the series with us here on Amazon. We're about to bring in our Amazon audience. We welcome those of you who are joining us on social media on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, X, and on Instagram. If you guys have any questions for Allie, make sure you guys do put those in the chat. We'd be glad to be able to answer those. But we are live also on Amazon Live. So if you guys are new to us on Amazon, welcome. Make sure you guys do hit that follow button. You see it either here in this corner or down below. You also will see the book by Allie Dalsimer, as well as I just mentioned, It's Okay Not to Be Fabulous Every Day. Allie and I have been going through in the series that we're doing, not only sharing some of the reflections that she had when she was writing the book, but also some great points for you guys as well. We're going to let you guys know how to stay connected with Allie at the end of our broadcast, but also remind you of some changes in our schedule coming up for the next couple of weeks as well. But Allie, good to be able to see you again.
Good to see you, Cyrus. I know you've had a busy week. It's exciting to share some time with you today.
Well, look, the pleasure's definitely all mine. Glad to be able to have you as well. And today's topic is one I think, ironically, Allie, that people will be able to see a lot in. And I think for myself, it's an interesting way that you began the book. And I love the fact that, and we haven't talked about this before, Allie, so now may be a good time to be able to address it, that the way that the book is kind of constructed are not necessarily something that have to do with chapter titles, but also with thoughts. And in today's, we're looking at words from Queen Elizabeth II. Grief is the price we pay for love. How did you decide how you wanted to section off the book?
So, as you know, and we've talked about this book is a journey. It's a journey that started as a personal journey that through the book I'm sharing with other people to try to lead them on their own personal path to becoming the person that they're meant to be. And so many of us start in a place of grief over whatever the loss is, or missed opportunities are, or whatever that personal grief is. For me, I was dealing with some things that I'll mention, but if that's your starting point, then I think it's important to acknowledge it and embrace it and live in that moment, because too many of us try to be like, oh, whatever, I can deal. It's not a big deal. And I wanted to start there. So I mean, functionally, I started there because that's where I was. That's where I was in my life. At the time that I first started thinking about writing this down. And it's also the point where I think when people really are low, they lose motivation and they lose a desire to continue on sometimes. And so I wanted to start it there for everybody, because we all need to move out of that step. We need to grace ourselves the self-care and self-love enough that we can move through our grief to get to where we want to be. And the book is a journey. That's the subtitle, A Journey to Self-Discovery.
And the quote, how did the quotes kind of come about as far as to how you sectioned it off?
Oh, yeah. Narrowing the quotes is the hardest part, because so I since I was in my, probably teens, maybe early 20s, I would write things down on scraps of paper that I saw that spoke to me. It could be a song lyric, it could be a line from a poem or a book. It could be a fortune cookie. Like I literally had fortune cookie, those little white slips, and I would scotch tape them to my kitchen cabinet, stickies and scraps of paper. It was just this colossal mess that my daughter made me take down at one point, because she was like, this is just awful. It was two tall kitchen cabinets just filled with these things, do or do not. There is no try. And the harder you work, the luckier you'll be, and just all these things. And there's still time to change the road you're on, and whatever it was. There's just all these things that spoke to me. These little snippets spoke to me and meant something to me. And so narrowing down which ones I was going to use was actually a real challenge. And I probably only used maybe 30%, 25 to 30% of the quotes that I have. And I just wanted to have them be an arc. I wanted there to be a progression in terms of like stepping stones. So each quote is intended to be a fresh stepping stone to lead you one step further along the path.
Okay. All right. So as I referenced, then again, grief is the price we pay for love. You want to go ahead and share this one with us, Ellie?
I would be honored to. Grief is the price we pay for love, Queen Elizabeth II. I recently Googled how to achieve life goals. Of the more than 37 million results, the top three included 10 tips, 9 examples, and 5 steps. Lots of resources describe in lengthy detail how to improve your well-being, finances, relations, sleep, and so on by simply following specific steps or developing certain behaviors. Over the years, I've tried taking steps, developing habits, and embracing methods. And while I've learned a lot, I never managed to complete all the steps, internalize the habits, or fully eschew my own way of doing things. Even though I've achieved a great deal in my life, I still have moments, days, weeks when I feel like a complete failure. That's when the self-recrimination comes in. I can't even succeed when given instructions. Failing left me anxious and depressed. What was wrong with me that I flop at what others appear to accomplish with ease? But that's just it. People everywhere continually deal with multiple stressors: economic uncertainties, social and political inequities, natural disasters, rising crime rates, illness, famine, war, and on and on. Many turn to self-help gurus, advice books, and blogs. But is everyone really completing those steps, habits, and methods with ease? If they were, my guess is the myriad articles, blogs, my newsletter, tailored to helping us live happier, love better, work smarter, they wouldn't enjoy such popularity, nor would posts on self-care, manifesting, and taking charge of our destinies like it's social media. In this time of individual and global insecurity, it's natural for us to search for answers. I am no different. Over the last few years, I've dealt with my husband's death, my mother's death, 3 house floods, children struggling with mental health and physical injuries, job loss, start and failure of a new business, running for public office, and launching into an entirely new career field. My journey may be different from yours, but only in its details. A couple of months ago, I woke one gloomy morning to the harsh realities that the kids were gone and my business had floundered. I still hadn't unpacked a dozen of the boxes left over from the last house flood. And no matter, yeah, sorry.
It's okay.
No matter how many times I went over to sort through her belongings, my mom's apartment remained as she'd left it when she died. I'll do better tomorrow. Yes, tomorrow. But when the morning came, nothing changed. The idea of unpacking boxes, cleaning out closets, and sorting through the museum where my mom once lived overwhelmed me. Dark sadness flitted at the edges of my consciousness, threatening to roll over me and into me. Then I remembered the electric blue typewriter. I read every scrap of paper in that folder and felt better. Funny how we often forget to take our own advice. With an adjusted attitude, I determined to reframe what success meant for me and gave myself 2 years to figure out what to do with my life.
Thank you for that, Allie. You got emotional there, and
I did, unexpectedly.
So, well, but I think this is part of the message of this, right?
Yeah.
I think we have to be able to give ourselves, for one, the permission to feel whatever we feel when we feel it, but also to know that it's okay. Did you feel that reminder of it's okay as you were reading it just now?
Yeah. So, one of the things when we started this, Cyrus, one of the things I really wanted to do was live in the moment. I wanted to experience the book in real time as if I was reading it for the first time. Mm-hmm. So I don't read ahead. I don't prep for these, in large part because I want every reader to interpret the messages and the words individually in ways that speak to them personally. And so I am trying to do that as well, as I said, kind of in real time. And, reading the part about not being able to go over to my mom's apartment, that was very real. Like, I had a to-do list, and that was on my to-do list for months, like 6 months. And I would go over there every week, and I would walk around and just look at her apartment and look at everything. the emotion of it is coming back to me because it's very real. The thing about grief is we learn to deal with it. We learn to process and we've moved forward, but grief never leaves us. We never lose that sense of loss, and different things can bring it up. So that hit me in the moment. But, turning it to a more positive thing, something else hit me. And that is, I gave myself 2 years to figure out what to do with my life. Not to do whatever it was, not to accomplish my goals, but to just figure out what I wanted to do. That was my goal. And Cyrus, this, late April, May timeframe is going to be 2 years. And as you know, from a discussion we had just a few days ago, I feel like I'm finally getting it. I feel like I know what I want to do with my life. At least for now. Life is fluid, things will change. Right. But I feel like, you know what? Come April, May, I'm going to feel like I accomplished that goal because I figured out what I want to do with my life. And then my next goal is going to have to actually be, of course, doing it. But, that's the positive. But right. Yeah, grief is tough. Grief is tough because you miss what could have been. You miss the time that you would have spent, or the relationships that you could have, I don't know, expanded or delved into, or I don't know. It's lost opportunity. Grief for me is about lost opportunity.
Yeah.
So
I want to say hello to Tree Lady Tony Ann. I love that name over there on IG. Makita's joining us on YouTube. Makita, who also is the host of her show here on Amazon Live, Flying Over 50 at Any Age. Makita says, great read. Took me back to when I had to clear my mom's house. Hardest thing ever. You were brave to include it in your book and to read it. Appreciate that, Makita. Amy, hello to you. Amy says it's so overwhelming. She's over on Amazon. And thank you for joining us again, Amy. Appreciate that. And it can be. And the thing is, when I was prepping for this today, Allie, there was one thing that came through my mind that really, to me, is the whole thing as a reader. And again, I always say that because every reader will have their own thing based on their own circumstances. And to me, this whole book is about, even as I say the title, it's okay not to be fabulous. It really is about defining what works for you. You found what works for you. And everyone has to do that. In fact, you end this section by saying whatever success is for the person reading it. And I think that's the thing is how difficult or easy, I'll let you kind of answer it however you want, has it been not to compare your approach to grieving to someone else, Allie?
I have not had a problem with my process of grief.
Okay.
In terms of wanting to compare it. I will not say the same for my process of success, okay, which I do compare all the time. I will say that a lot of people don't understand what it is to truly grieve until they've been through it themselves, the walking a mile in their shoes kind of thing. Mm-hmm. One of the things that really, really upset me a lot when I was going through the grieving process, it was about a year after my husband died. And people would say, they'd say something and I would get teary. I'd get emotional because I'd think of him. And I remember this one woman said to me, well, it's been a year. Aren't you over it yet? And I was like,
wow.
No, I will never be over the loss of someone I spent at that point half my life with. Mm-hmm. And I don't think anybody gets over the loss of a spouse or a parent or a child or a close friend. Maybe you get over the loss of a distant relative who you met once at a Thanksgiving dinner. But other than that, no. And it astounds me how people who haven't really been through grief can be so ignorant of its power. Sadly, eventually, everybody does go through it. Although in this particular person's case, she had lost a parent. So I don't know. Maybe she's just a different bird than I am. Mm-hmm. I'm more swan than duck, I guess. So, yeah.
You mentioned, about success, about comparison there. I think too, I love the way you phrase this. I want to actually read it, what you said. My journey may be different from yours, but only in details. And I love the fact that as you talked about your own loss, but also your own difficulties dealing with the house flood and things with your children, that people may not be able to, like myself, someone who doesn't have children, may not be able to deal with to necessarily connect with the details, but the idea of things shifting in your life that are beyond your control. We all can relate to that. Is that part of what you've seen as the author, the connection that people are making who may not can relate necessarily to all the details, Allie, but to what is on the periphery there about dealing with loss and change?
100%. Yeah, I call it life's inflection points. Those pivotal moments in life that literally change your life, whatever that means for you. Those are periods of great turbulence and stress. They talk about getting married is the second most stressful thing you can do. It's Stress doesn't have to be negative to be impactful. Trauma doesn't have to be negative to be impactful. There can be positive trauma. Anything that causes, anything that dents your life, right? It's the analogy of the fence, and you hammer the nail in, and even when you take it out, the hole is still there.
Mhm.
Any major event is a nail in that fence, and it
Yeah.
could be a positive thing or it could be a negative thing. But even if you take that nail out, that hole is still there, and it leaves an impression on you and in you.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's definitely, that's exactly what I meant by only in the details. The difference is only in the details, because life is a journey that is very rarely smooth for people, and there are external factors that we can't control, and often can't even influence, that have significant and profound impacts on us, and we just have to deal with them, because in the end all we can do is control what we do and how we react to what is done to us. And so yeah, it's a journey.
You did say something interesting. I want to go back to you. Hello to you, Melissa. Good to be able to see you over there on Facebook. And that is, as I was asking you earlier about grief, and you brought up success, something again that again we've talked about already in this series, and you mentioned that's where the difficulty can be in comparing not your grief to someone else's, but success. That you gave yourself the permission slip though in that 2 year window when it comes to being able to make a decision. How has giving yourself that permission slip help you in the way you view success in comparison to someone else's?
It was such an awesome thing to read this morning, because I'll be perfectly honest, I'd forgotten. I'd gotten caught up in my own day-to-day whatever, and my weekly plans, and
Yeah.
you know am I doing enough of this, or should I be doing that? And I'm doing my best. I do. I
Yeah.
I do take from it. I'm doing my best, and you can't do more than your best, right? If you're doing
Right.
your best, that is all you can do.
Right.
Win, lose, or draw. If you've done your best, you got to be proud of it.
Yeah.
But reading that this morning, I got to tell you, Cyrus, that was like gold star for me,
Mhm.
you know,
Yeah.
because I'm gonna achieve that goal. And some people may think that setting a goal to decide what to do is a very low bar, but it's not.
Right.
If you think of life as a tree, and deciding which branch you're going to follow, those kinds of decisions impact everything.
Mhm.
So, deciding not to go back into the natural resources world, deciding to branch out as a new author, and let me tell you, starting a career at 39 again for the however manyth time, is a scary process. Is a scary prospect. And but it is significant, and I would push back to anyone who thinks that that's stupid or dumb, or not enough, because it was enough for me and what I needed. And I think if more people took the time to really have a little introspection and uh, grace themselves the patience to really think about what they want to do with their lives, I think more people would be doing what they want to.
I agree. I totally agree. Allie Dalsimer, everyone, is our co-host for this series, It's Okay Not to Be Fabulous Every Day, based on her book by the same name. You all can see it there on the Amazon side. You can get the paperback edition here for $10.95, or the Kindle edition for $5.99. And our closing thoughts here, Allie, what would you want for our audience as they're listening to this message today, and especially from this particular part of the book? What would you want them to know about giving themselves not only permission to grieve as they need to, but also to design their path as they need to as well?
I think my biggest message would be, don't let anyone ever make you feel your grief is not valid. Your grief is your grief. It's personal, and you should grieve in whatever way you need to grieve, and you should allow yourself the permission to do that. You have to be, and I said this last time, you have to be your own best advocate, your own best friend. You have to learn to hold yourself and grace yourself in a place of acceptance and love, so that you can heal and become whole and move through that grieving process, because it is a process, even if you never really come out the other end. And I would also say, just as an aside, the book is also available in Spanish and in audiobook formats for both Spanish and English. And honestly, I would encourage you to sign up for my newsletter. It comes out tomorrow, comes out every other Saturday. And I offer a lot of resources, links to all kinds of resources to help people deal with grief, achieving goals, motivating. Tomorrow's edition is all about taking that first step, because getting started is the first step. For my mom's apartment, it's just getting started was the hardest thing. But once you get started, you're on your way.
That's right. And give them the website, Allie.
It's www.alliedalsimer.com/newsletter, and you can sign up right there.
Awesome, Allie. Great session today. Looking forward to our next one. Now, you guys, we do have a break in our schedule. I'm going to be doing some traveling the next couple of weeks, so we'll be returning for you guys over on Amazon. You guys will see the post there for that, so you can set your reminders. For those joining us on social, as always, we'll be posting that as well, so make sure you guys stay tuned. In the interim, during our break, make sure you guys do go back if you missed some of the other sessions. We'll be using my Throwback Thursday to be able to share those, so make sure you guys do go back and catch up. More importantly, make sure you guys do pick up Allie's book, if not for yourself, for someone you think will be able to appreciate these great reminders. And again, the importance of the permission slip for sure. Amy says, thank you, Allie and Cyrus. Appreciate that. Amy, glad you could be able to join us over there on Amazon. Appreciate you guys over there on YouTube as well. Makita, glad you could stop over there on YouTube as well. I see you guys over on X. Unfortunately, I cannot bring your comments in on X over here. But I will respond when we do get off the air here. And
you're welcome to email me as well.
Oh, there you go. And you can find that information on her website too. Until next time, you all make it a great one. We'll talk to you soon. Take care.